Let me give you 4 reasons everyone should use a hardware jig when doing a cabinet DIY project. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any questions? Hardware jigs come in several configurations and brands. We can all argue about which jig is the best. However, the hardware jig boasts the dual benefit of higher quality in less time. Time is money, so this is a no-brainer. You want to do a better job and make more money? You want a hardware jig. I'm not going to get into the weeds promoting a certain jig. Let me give you a different scenario. You're on the job, you left your hardware jig somewhere, you don't know where, but it ain't here.
Oh no.
You have 80 door pulls that require 160 precise holes to measure and drill. Since each hole requires a measurement of the length and width, that means you will make 240 measurements and pencil marks. So what are you going to do? You're going to make a homemade hardware door jig. That's what we're going to show you today. In an upcoming video, we'll cover the drawers. If you're like most installers, you carry scrap pieces of 3/4 inch stock and cleats in your truck or your van. If not, you can usually find pieces laying around the job site or use leftover material from the installation. All you need is scrap material to make a door jig. The first thing you want to do is cut a small 10-inch by 5-inch piece of 3/4 inch plywood, melamine, or stock. Next thing I want to do, just like the factory jig, I want to put something that's going to stop on the edge of the door. So I'm going to take this other piece of scrap wood and I'm going to cut myself 2 pieces. One for this side and one for that side. So let's mark and cut those. Just going to line it up with the board, a little mark on the edge, right? Now I know with this one, I'm coming a little bit past by about 3/4. The mark over here. I'm going to put X here because that's a cutoff piece. So that's my side piece. There's my bottom piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those real quick. Keep in mind that I cut this piece wide enough to overlap the jig on both sides, enough to completely cover the thickness of my door. I'm going to then attach this piece to one side and one bottom of the jig. This way, I can hold it up against my door to drill perfect holes. Once you've created your jig, you'll need to drill the holes so you can install your hardware. But first, you'll get these dimensions either from the designer or by drilling one of the doors for hardware in one of the most common locations. This would start even with the inside profile of the bottom rail. That's where you would drill the bottom hole for your pull. Now that you have your first hole, just measure up the width of the span of the hardware and mark your second hole. After you've marked your door and confirmed that your hardware is positioned where you want it, now you just need to transfer these dimensions over to the hardware jig. So to mark your bottom hole, just measure up from the bottom, mark it, and then measure over from the side to make your second mark. Now you have the location for your bottom hole. Then burn an inch and measure up 6 1/16, because the span between the 2 holes is 5 1/16, and make your marks for the second hole as well. So we're going to take our punch and boom, tap that right in the middle. Do the same over here. Line it up in the middle, give it a tap. We're ready to take our drill with the 3/16 bit, and let's drill these holes. You want to drill them straight, you want to drill them all the way through. Let's flip this one around, do the same thing. Okay, so how do we know we're good? Well, we just take our pull, we'll take a couple of screws, and we'll make sure that we're lined up perfect before we start drilling into doors. It lines up perfect. You have a little bit of wiggle room where you drilled the holes. And that gives you a little bit of wiggle room to adjust your pull. With the door jig, the important thing is you want to open the door. Why? If you just start drilling and you got a door that's on the end of a run and it's hinged right and you don't open the door, what's to stop you from putting your jig on the hinge side and drilling on the hinge side, and drilling the door wrong? So if I'm moving quick and I want to do 80 doors really quick and I'm zoop, 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 eventually I'm gonna get reckless and I'm gonna run my finger across that drill as it's coming through the door. Here's how I'm gonna avoid doing that. Number one, when I drill my doors, I'm gonna hold my jig on there. Now, all I need to do is drill into the door and get it started. Now that one's already started, so I don't have to worry about it. Then, that's my first pass. So I am gonna make 2 passes. I'm gonna go and drill a partial hole in the door. Then I'm gonna come back with a 2x4 and open each door and drill the rest of the way through. Now before I do that, I'm gonna set my bit and chuck so it stops before it goes all the way through the 2x4, so I have no possible way of drilling into my fingers. And I could feel the 2x4 because it's a softer wood. So that's pretty much it. I'll do another one from scratch, and just to show you in real time how this goes. So this door's hanging, you take your jig. Now there is a hinge back there, I already know that. You put it up to the door, and then you're just gonna take your drill bit, and you're gonna drill. And then you can move on to the next one. So you just keep repeating this process from door to door, even though in this example I'm showing you that I'm drilling all of these holes on a single door. In reality, you'll just go from door to door. After you drill your pilot holes, then you'll take a 2x4 and you'll finish drilling all the way through. It's obvious whether you use a store-bought or a homemade hardware jig, it's going to save you a ton of time. This is an essential tool that you just have to have, especially when you're doing the larger jobs with a lot of doors and drawers. So if you got something from this video, make sure you like it. Also, I really appreciate your comments. Keep them coming. And don't forget to check out our Cabinet Bootcamp. There's a link in the description below.